Elara floated. Not in the way a feather might drift on an unseen current, nor in the playful tumbles of zero-gravity parkour her friends sometimes tried in the habitat's recreational domes. No. Elara floated in the quiet, profound embrace of her Stardust Cradle, a place where the universe itself seemed to breathe around her. Her room wasn't truly a room in the traditional sense, at least not to anyone who'd known the cramped, solid spaces of old Earth. It was a sphere, perfectly smooth and softly luminous, carved from the living rock of Athelberg Station, but lined with a material that mimicked the breathable, gentle atmosphere of a forest glade on a long-lost planet. Bioluminescent mosses, cultivated from deep space vines, pulsed with a rhythm that matched Elara's own calm heartbeat, casting shifting patterns of emerald and sapphire across the walls. A small gurgling cascade of filtered nutrient water trickled down a shelf of crystalline rock, feeding miniature, glowing flora, its sound a constant, soothing murmur. At the very center of this spherical sanctuary was the Stardust Cradle. It wasn't a bed with legs or a frame. It was a shimmering cloud, a suspended nebula of woven light strands and grav-null filaments that pulsed with a gentle, violet glow. When Elara climbed in, it yielded, molding itself perfectly to her small body, lifting her just a few centimeters above the floor, giving the sensation of being suspended in the vast, silent ocean of space itself. Tonight, as every night, Elara was preparing for her journey. Her companion AI, Luma, a soft, melodious voice that emanated from the very air around her, began the evening ritual. "Good evening, little star," Luma chimed, the sound like wind chimes played by starlight. "Are you ready to traverse the cosmic currents?" Elara, her dark, curious eyes wide with anticipation, nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "Yes, Luma. What story will the stars tell tonight?" Luma's presence was woven into the very fabric of Elara's life. Designed by her parents, Captain Anya and Commander Kale, Luma was more than just an AI. She was a guardian, a teacher, a friend, programmed with the warmth and wisdom of 1,000 librarians and the gentle patience of a parent. Elara's parents were explorers, deep space cartographers who charted the unfathomable reaches beyond the known star lanes. Their missions often kept them away for cycles, sometimes even solar years, but Luma ensured Elara never felt truly alone. "Tonight," Luma began, her voice taking on a hushed, reverent tone, "we will revisit the wonders of the pillars of creation, as observed by your parents during their last deep scan through the Seraphim Nebula. But first, let us prepare the vessel." Elara giggled, though she knew the vessel was simply her Stardust Cradle. She loved the theatrics of it all. She slipped off her soft, temperature-regulating sleep suit, its fabric shimmering faintly in the moss light. A small, almost invisible drone, no bigger than her thumb, detached from the ceiling and scanned her, ensuring her vital signs were perfectly balanced, her sleep cycle readiness optimal. "All systems nominal, little star," Luma confirmed. "Core temperature perfect, neural pathways calm. The journey awaits." Elara climbed into the Stardust Cradle, sinking into its ethereal embrace. The grav-null filaments hummed, a barely perceptible vibration that soothed her muscles and eased the day's gentle exertions. Her head rested on a pillow that felt like condensed moonlight, cool and soft against her cheek. As she settled, Luma initiated the cradle's full sequence. The bioluminescent mosses on the walls dimmed to a soft, almost imperceptible pulse. The gurgling water cascade quieted to a whisper. And then, the real magic began. The spherical walls of Elara's room dissolved. Not physically, of course, but optically. The entire surface became a seamless, immersive display, a hyper-realistic projection of the cosmos. Tonight, it was the Seraphim Nebula, a vast, swirling cloud of incandescent gas and dust, painted in hues of fiery orange, deep indigo, and shimmering gold. Within it, towering structures of cosmic dust and gas, sculpted by the fierce winds of newborn stars, rose like ancient mythical columns, the pillars of creation. Elara gasped softly, her breath catching in her throat. She had seen countless nebulae projected onto her cradle's walls, but each time, the sheer scale and beauty took her by surprise. Tiny, nascent stars, no more than pinpricks of diamond light, glittered within the pillars, their birth pangs sending ripples of energy across the cosmic canvas. She felt as if she were truly floating amongst them, a tiny, insignificant speck, in a universe of unimaginable grandeur. "The pillars of creation," Luma whispered, her voice layered with the distant, gentle hum of a celestial choir. "A place where stars are born, little star. Just like you." Elara reached out a hand, tracing the outline of a particularly majestic pillar, its base wreathed in fiery gas. She knew intellectually that her fingers were simply touching the smooth, cool surface of her room, but it felt as if she could brush against the cosmic dust, feel the warmth of distant stellar nurseries. "Mama and Papa saw this, really saw it?" she asked, her voice barely a murmur. "They did," Luma confirmed. "They spent 3 cycles in close proximity, mapping its energy signatures, charting the birth of new solar systems. They found a protoplanet forming within that very pillar you are tracing. A nascent world that might one day harbor life." Elara's eyes widened. A new world. Her parents were out there, finding new worlds, new stars, new possibilities. It was a thought that filled her with both immense pride and a familiar, gentle ache of longing. She missed them, always. Their last visit had been a full 2 cycles ago, a whirlwind of hugs and stories, and strange, glittering souvenirs from the edges of the galaxy. But then, the call came. A new, uncharted sector. A new cosmic mystery to unravel. And they were gone again, their ship, the Stardust Wanderer, a rapidly fading beacon against the black. "Did they send any stardust today?" Elara asked, her voice tinged with hope. The stardust wasn't literal dust, of course. It was a unique form of data packet developed by her parents. When they encountered something truly extraordinary, something words or even standard holos couldn't fully capture, they would condense the sensory data, the precise light patterns, the ambient cosmic radiation, even the faint gravimetric ripples, into tiny, shimmering packets of energy. These packets, once received by Ethelberg Station and projected by the Stardust Cradle, allowed Elara to experience a fragment of what they saw, what they felt, almost as if she were there. They called them memory dust, but Elara preferred stardust. Luma paused, a deliberate, almost dramatic beat. "Indeed, little star. A new transmission arrived just after your evening nutrient intake. I have prepared it for your viewing." Elara sat up slightly, the grav null field adjusting instantly to her movement. Her heart fluttered with excitement. This was the best part of her bedtime ritual, the most direct connection to her distant parents. The pillars of creation began to recede, slowly morphing into a new scene. The swirling nebulae gave way to a darker, emptier expanse of space, dotted with distant, colder stars. Then, a single, brilliant blue star flared into existence at the center of her spherical room, pulsating with an almost blinding intensity. "This is Kepler 186f, Luma announced, her voice filled with a hint of awe. "A planet orbiting a red dwarf star, located approximately 500 light-years from your current position. Your parents are observing it from their long-range scope." The blue star shifted, revealing a small, reddish-orange orb orbiting it, the planet itself. It was mostly shrouded in thick, swirling clouds, but here and there, glimpses of its surface appeared. And what a surface it was! Elara gasped again, a sound of pure wonder. Through a break in the clouds, she saw a landscape unlike anything she had ever imagined. Towering crystalline structures like giant emerald and ruby stalagmites pierced the reddish sky. Their facets caught the dim, ruddy light of the red dwarf sun, scattering it into 1,000 glittering rainbows. The ground beneath them seemed to pulse with a faint, internal luminescence, a network of glowing veins beneath a mossy, alien soil. Strange bioluminescent flora, shaped like giant, unfurling ferns, swayed gently in an unseen breeze, their fronds shedding showers of golden sparks. Then, her parents appeared. Not as full, solid figures but as translucent, almost ghostly projections, standing amidst the alien landscape. They were wearing their standard expedition suits, but their helmets were retracted, revealing their smiling faces. Her mother, Anya, with her fierce, intelligent eyes and a streak of silver in her dark hair, waved, a wide, joyful grin on her face. Her father, Kale, with his perpetually thoughtful expression and kind, crinkling eyes, gave a gentle nod. "Hello, our little star." Anya's voice, warm and familiar, filled the cradle. It wasn't just an audio recording. It was imbued with the subtle inflections, the barely perceptible echoes of the alien atmosphere they stood in. Can you believe this place, Kepler 186f? We've been tracking it for weeks, and it's even more incredible up close. Kale stepped forward, his translucent hand gesturing towards the glowing flora. The indigenous life forms here are fascinating, Elara. They don't rely on photosynthesis in the way Earth plants do. They seem to metabolize the planet's unique geothermal energy, and they communicate through complex patterns of light and sound. Listen. And as he spoke, the cradle filled with a symphony of soft, chiming tones, like 1,000 tiny bells played by the wind, interwoven with a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through Elara's very bones. It was the music of Kepler 186f, a living, breathing concert of an alien world. The glowing ferns pulsed in time with the music, their golden sparks dancing in the air. Anya knelt, her projection phasing through one of the glowing crystalline structures. We've collected some resonance samples hoping to replicate the conditions back on Athelberg. Imagine, Elara, growing these wonders in your own habitat. Though, Luma says they're a bit too energetic for a bedroom at the moment. She winked at the camera. Elara giggled, a pure, unadulterated sound of delight. She could almost smell the alien air, a faint, metallic sweetness that Luma had carefully reconstructed from atmospheric readings. We miss you, sweetie, Kale said, his voice softening. Every discovery, every new star. We wish you were here to see it with us. But we send you these fragments, these bits of stardust, so you can share in our journey. And remember, Anya added, her gaze direct, loving, no matter how far we travel, you are always our brightest star. Keep learning, keep wondering, and keep dreaming big. We'll be home before you know it. They both waved one last time, their forms shimmering, and then, slowly, they faded. The crystalline landscape of Kepler 186f remained for a few more moments, the alien music playing on, the glowing ferns swaying. Elara lay still, her chest aching with a sweet, profound mix of joy and longing. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the shimmering ferns, wishing she could pluck one, hold its light in her hand. Slowly, gently, the alien world began to recede, dissolving back into the familiar, softly glowing walls of her room. The music faded, replaced by the gentle, almost imperceptible hum of the Stardust Cradle. Your parents are well, little star, Luma murmured, her voice a comforting balm. Their journey continues, and they carry you in their hearts, always. Elara sighed, a long, contented breath. I wish I could go with them, Luma, to see all the stars, to find new worlds. One day, perhaps, Luma replied, her voice filled with ancient wisdom. For now, your journey is through the dreams the Stardust Cradle weaves. The universe is vast, Elara, and there are many paths to explore it. The cradle began its final phase. The walls, though no longer projecting the alien world, now pulsed with a soft, cosmic dance. Nebulae and pastel shades drifted across her vision, punctuated by the slow, majestic spiral of distant galaxies. Luma began to hum a lullaby, a melody composed from the resonant frequencies of the oldest stars, a tune that spoke of creation and endless possibility. Elara felt her eyelids grow heavy. The gentle undulation of the Grav-Null field lulled her deeper into its embrace. She thought of the glowing ferns on Kepler 186f, their silent, sparkling dance. She thought of her parents, so far away, yet so close through the magic of stardust. She imagined them, out there, sailing through the black, searching for more wonders, more mysteries. As sleep began to claim her, a single, particularly bright star on her spherical ceiling seemed to shimmer with an unusual intensity, catching her gaze. It wasn't part of the nebulae projection. It was a unique, solitary point of light, one she hadn't noticed before, positioned exactly where the protoplanet her parents had mentioned in the Pillars of Creation would be. A new star, perhaps. A new dream. And as Elara drifted into the soft, silent currents of slumber, she wondered what other secrets that tiny, distant star held, what other worlds her parents might be discovering, just beyond her reach, waiting for her to dream her way to them. The Stardust Cradle pulsed around her, a silent promise, holding her safe as she journeyed into the boundless cosmos of her own imagination. She dreamt of flying, not in a ship, but as a wisp of light, darting between crystalline spires, chasing the golden sparks of alien ferns, leaving a trail of stardust in her wake. The universe she knew was always waiting. The universe she knew was always waiting. And in her dream, it welcomed her. As a wisp of light, she surged forward, the crystalline spires around her seeming to hum with a silent song. They weren't cold, sharp structures, but living giants, their facets catching and refracting the soft, internal glow of the planet itself. Each spire pulsed with a unique shade: amethyst, sapphire, emerald, shifting gently like breathing jewels. Beneath them, the golden sparks of alien ferns weren't just decorative. They were tiny, bioluminescent creatures, flitting and dancing in intricate patterns, leaving trails of fleeting gold. Luna, in her light form, felt no weight, no resistance. She could weave through the densest thickets of these living crystals, darting up towering spires that stretched so far, they seemed to pierce a sky woven from twilight blues and purples. The air itself felt like spun starlight, cool and invigorating, carrying whispers of unheard melodies, perhaps the very song of the living crystals. She chased the golden sparks, her own stardust trail shimmering behind her, a playful comet in a world of silent grandeur. Then, she noticed them. Not the tiny fern sparks, but something larger, more deliberate in their movement. They were lumen moths, she instinctively knew, creatures made entirely of living light, their wings like intricate stained glass patterns that shifted with every beat. They drifted, slow and graceful, their luminescence a soft, warm amber. They seemed drawn to her, not with hunger or fear, but with a gentle curiosity. One, larger than the others, with wings that pulsed with a deeper, more resonant gold, slowly approached her. It hovered, its light gently intertwining with her own. She felt a connection, a silent understanding. She playfully darted away, leaving a longer, brighter trail of stardust. The lumen moth followed, its radiant form tracing her path. Soon, others joined, a silent, luminous procession following her through the crystalline forest. They weren't just chasing her, they were playing with her. She led them through shimmering archways formed by entwined spires, spiraled down into deep glowing canyons, and soared up to plateaus where colossal crystal formations bloomed like frozen fireworks. The joy of it was immense, a pure, unburdened delight that resonated deep within her. As they played, the larger lumen moth, the one with the resonant gold wings, began to lead. It wasn't guiding her away from the game but towards something. Its light pulsed with a rhythm that felt like an invitation, a gentle beckoning. Luna, trusting, followed. The crystalline spires began to thin, giving way to wider caverns, their walls shimmering with veins of raw light. The air grew warmer, infused with a faint, sweet aroma, like ozone mixed with honeysuckle. They arrived in a vast open chamber, its ceiling a dizzying dome of swirling light. At its center, a spectacle unfolded that took her breath away, even in her wisp form. It was the lumen well, a colossal fount of pure liquid light that surged upwards from a deep chasm in the planet's core. It wasn't water, but glowing energy, swirling and cascading in hues of pearlescent white, soft gold, and ethereal blue. It pulsed with a steady, rhythmic beat, like the heart of the world itself. The lumen moths, her companions, didn't approach the well directly. Instead, they drifted to the edges of the chamber, absorbing its radiant energy, their own lights intensifying, humming with quiet contentment. Luna, however, felt an irresistible pull towards the well. She drifted closer, the warmth of the light embracing her. She could feel its power, its life-giving essence. It was magnificent, ancient, and utterly serene. She hovered just above the swirling surface of the liquid light. It wasn't hot, but vibrantly alive, humming with a frequency that resonated with her very core. She dipped a tiny part of her light form into it, and a sensation of pure energy, not overwhelming but perfectly harmonious, flowed through her. It was as if the well was whispering secrets of the universe directly into her nascent consciousness, stories of creation, of stars being born, of planets breathing their first atmospheres. A wave of longing washed over her, soft as the light itself. Oh, how she wished her parents could see this, could feel this profound connection to a living world. They sought out new planets, new life, new wonders, but had they ever encountered anything quite so intimately alive as this lumen well? She imagined telling them, describing the silent songs of the spires, the playful dance of the lumen moths, the heartbeat of this luminous core. A faint sadness touched her, a fleeting shadow in the brilliant light, quickly dispelled by the sheer wonder surrounding her. She was here now. And perhaps in some way, her parents were here too, through her. The Stardust Cradle, she knew, was more than just a place to sleep. It was a bridge, a conduit. It wasn't just showing her dreams. It was letting her touch them, feel them, experience them. It was a gentle nudge, a promise that the universe wasn't just out there, waiting to be discovered by grown-ups in spaceships, but was also inside her, waiting to be explored by her own imagination and spirit. As she drew back from the lumen well, feeling refreshed and invigorated, the golden-winged lumen moth approached her once more. This time, its light pulsed with a new pattern, a series of gentle rhythmic blinks that seemed to form a question, or perhaps an invitation to a new journey. Its light shifted, not just in intensity, but in color, swirling with hues of deep violet and shimmering silver, colors she hadn't seen before in this crystalline world. It was as if it was showing her a glimpse of something beyond. Luna understood. This world, as wondrous as it was just one note in the universe's grand symphony. The Stardust Cradle was not content to let her linger in one place. It was encouraging her, gently but firmly, to explore further, to delve deeper into the boundless cosmos it could show her. With a silent acknowledgement to her luminous guide, she allowed her light form to stretch, to elongate, to become less anchored to the crystalline chamber. The swirling dome of light above her seemed to open, not into a physical sky, but into a different kind of space. She felt a gentle tug, a sensation like drifting on a calm current. The vibrant light of the lumen well faded behind her, replaced by a soft, enveloping darkness, not empty or frightening, but pregnant with possibility. Her wisp of light pulsed, eager. She was no longer darting between spires but suspended in a vast, velvety expanse, dotted with distant, hazy glows. These weren't stars, not in the way she knew them from her observatory dome. These were different. As she drifted closer, the hazy glows resolved themselves into colossal, ethereal forms, drifting slowly through a medium that felt like thick, scented air. They were the nebula blooms, vast, living flowers, each one larger than a starship, their petals unfurling in slow motion, like sails catching an unseen wind. Their surfaces shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, swirling nebulae of color, deep indigos, soft lavenders, fiery oranges, and pale greens. Each bloom was a self-contained world, a floating ecosystem, exhaling sweet, musky perfumes that mingled in the soft currents. Luna, still in her light form, felt herself drawn into the heart of one such bloom. Its petals, soft as velvet and translucent as mist, gently enveloped her. Inside, a miniature universe thrived. Tiny, glowing motes of life, like microscopic fireflies, danced in the nutrient-rich atmosphere. Delicate, thread-like vines, luminous with a cool blue light, crisscrossed the interior, forming intricate webs. Smaller, jewel-toned creatures, like living gems, flitted between these vines, feeding on the airborne motes, their soft chirps creating a barely audible symphony. She explored, drifting from one petal chamber to another, marveling at the delicate balance of life within. Each nebula bloom was a cathedral of organic beauty, its inner walls glowing with intricate patterns that shifted and reformed, like living tapestries. She saw tiny translucent creatures, no bigger than her thumb, meticulously tending to light mosses that grew on the petal surfaces, absorbing the bloom's internal light. She watched as other, larger creatures, like graceful feathered serpents woven from pure light, glided through the central chamber, their movements slow and deliberate, their purpose seemingly to distribute vital energies throughout the bloom. It was a world of gentle interdependence, where every element played its part in maintaining the whole. She noticed a particular bloom, slightly off color compared to the others, its bioluminescence a little dimmer, its petals drooping ever so slightly. A faint, almost imperceptible sigh seemed to emanate from its core. Luna felt a pang of concern. What was wrong? Could a dream wisp do anything to help a dream bloom? She drifted towards the ailing bloom, her light form pulsing with gentle inquiry. As she drew near, she noticed small dark spots on its glowing surface, tiny imperfections that seemed to drain its light. These weren't creatures, but something more akin to a parasitic growth, subtly siphoning away its vitality. The smaller, jewel-toned creatures within this bloom seemed sluggish, their chirps muted. Luna instinctively extended a part of her light form, a tiny tendril of her stardust essence, towards one of the dark spots. It wasn't a physical touch, but a sympathetic resonance. As her light mingled with the dimming bloom, she felt a slight resistance, a faint chill emanating from the parasitic growth. But she also felt the bloom's faint plea, a quiet yearning for renewal. Drawing on an inner strength she didn't know she possessed, Luna focused her light, not to destroy, but to invigorate. She imagined the boundless energy of the lumen well, the vibrant life force of the crystalline spires, and channeled it through her wisp form. Her light intensified, growing brighter, warmer, radiating a pure, cleansing energy. She bathed the affected area of the petal in her concentrated light. Slowly, miraculously, the dark spots began to recede, shrinking, fading, until they were gone. The petal, where her light had touched, began to glow with renewed vigor, its colors deepening, its texture seeming to plump up. A soft, contented hum vibrated through the bloom. The tiny creatures within stirred, their chirps growing brighter, their movements more sprightly. Luna felt a profound sense of accomplishment, a warmth spreading through her light form that wasn't just the bloom's gratitude, but her own. She had helped. Even in this boundless imagined universe, her presence, her light, could make a difference. It wasn't about conquering or discovering in the traditional sense, but about connecting, nurturing, and understanding. The Stardust Cradle pulsed gently beneath her, a silent current of approval. It was guiding her, yes, but it was also responding to her. It was an extension of her own imagination, fed by the vast data streams her parents' explorations sent back, woven with her own innocent desires to explore and connect. It wasn't just showing her worlds. It was letting her jibe in them, to interact, to learn the subtle languages of alien life. As the nebula bloom slowly regained its full radiance, its petals unfurling with renewed grace, Luna felt a subtle shift in the ambient space. The sweet, musky perfumes began to recede, replaced by a crisp, almost metallic scent. The gentle drifting motion gave way to a subtle thrum, a vibration that resonated not with organic life, but with advanced, intricate machinery. She looked around, her light form still shimmering with the residual energy of her act of nurturing. The vast starry darkness was still there, but now, faint lines of shimmering energy, like invisible pathways, began to appear in the distance. They pulsed with a cool silver light, converging towards a central point. A point where the thrumming grew stronger, more defined. It was another invitation. Another gateway. The universe, in its infinite generosity, was showing her yet another facet of its boundless wonders. She understood that her journey through these dream realms was far from over. Each world offered a new lesson, a new connection, a new way to understand the intricate tapestry of existence. Her light form pulsed with anticipation, ready to follow the silver pathways, eager to see what new marvels awaited her, just beyond the shimmering threshold. The Stardust Cradle held her secure, a silent co-conspirator in her grand adventure, ensuring that wherever her imagination took her, she would always be safe, always learning, always growing into the explorer she was destined to become. The universe was indeed always waiting, and so was she. The shimmering threshold parted like liquid starlight, not with a sound, but with a sensation akin to a cosmic sigh. Elara, now a pure incandescent spark of conscious light, flowed through, feeling the silver pathways coalesce around her. They were not solid, not liquid, not gas, but pure directional energy, guiding her gently yet inexorably forward. It was like being carried on a benevolent current, each subtle shift in the pathway a whisper of direction, a hint of the wonders awaiting. Her light form pulsed with an exhilaration that transcended physical sensation. She was not just seeing. She was perceiving with every facet of her being. The universe unfurled before her not as a distant spectacle, but as an intimate, vibrant tapestry woven from light, energy, and the silent hum of existence. The Stardust Cradle, a comforting anchor in the vastness, resonated with her, a warm, steady pulse that reminded her of safety, of home, even as she ventured beyond all known horizons. It was her silent guardian, a conduit for knowledge, and a gentle filter, ensuring that the immensity of the cosmos never overwhelmed her nascent consciousness. Her first destination shimmered into view, not as a point on a map, but as an unfolding symphony of color and light. It was a nebula, unlike any depicted in her childhood databanks. This was the Whispering Nebula, a vast incandescent cloud spanning light years, where gas and dust coalesced into forms that shifted and danced with ethereal grace. But it wasn't just its visual splendor that captivated her. It was the sound. Or rather, the music. As she drifted closer, guided by the silver pathways that now wove intricate patterns through the nebular clouds, Elara began to perceive the cosmic harmonies. The superheated hydrogen and helium weren't merely glowing, they were singing. Each spectral line, each ripple in the nebular dust corresponded to a frequency, a tone, a note in a grand ongoing composition. Giant stars, burning bright and brief, with a powerful bass notes, their gravitational pulls creating deep, resonant thrums that vibrated through her light form. Smaller, cooler stars, still nascent in their formation, chimed in with higher, more delicate melodies, like celestial flutes. Elara realized, with a thrill that made her light form flare brighter, that the Stardust Cradle was not just protecting her, it was enhancing her. It acted as a universal translator, not of languages but of cosmic phenomena. It allowed her to interpret the subtle energy fluctuations, the gravitational waves, the electromagnetic pulses, and translate them into a form her developing consciousness could understand. A symphony. She listened, rapt, as the Whispering Nebula told its story. It spoke of creation, of stars being born from swirling dust, of planets slowly coalescing from rocky debris, of the gentle expansion and contraction of space itself. It was a song of infinite patience, of immense power, and of breathtaking beauty. She spent what felt like eons. Though time here was a fluid concept, bending and stretching with the nebular currents, learning to interpret these light songs, she discovered that different regions of the nebula sang different verses. Near a cluster of newly formed protostars, the music was vibrant and energetic, full of promise and burgeoning life. Closer to an ancient, dying red giant, the song was a melancholic lullaby, a slow, deep hum of surrender and transformation, hinting at the stellar dust that would one day seed new creations. Elara's light form began to subtly change, absorbing the colors and rhythms. She pulsed with soft purples and deep blues, reflecting the nebular clouds, and a gentle, persistent hum resonated within her, an echo of the cosmic music. She wasn't just an observer, she was becoming a part of the symphony. This immersion deepened her understanding of existence, showing her that even the most immense and seemingly chaotic forces in the universe operated with an inherent, beautiful order. Wonder bloomed within her, a pure, unadulterated joy at the sheer artistry of the cosmos. The Stardust Cradle hummed its approval, a soft, warm vibration against her developing consciousness. "You are learning, little explorer," it seemed to whisper. "You are becoming one. The silver pathways, ever present but subtly guiding, began to shift. The Whispering Nebula, having taught her its profound lessons, gently released her. She felt herself drawn away, deeper into the dark, star-strewn canvas of space, toward a new light, a new mystery. Her next destination was a world of breathtaking, crystalline architecture, nestled in the heart of a binary star system that cast an eternal twilight glow across its surface. This was Xylos, the crystal spires. From afar it appeared as a giant, multifaceted jewel, shimmering with an inner light. As Elara drew closer, guided by the pathways that now seemed to hum with a different frequency, she saw that the entire planet was covered in immense naturally occurring crystal formations. These weren't inert rocks. They were alive, in a way she had never conceived. Towering spires, hundreds of kilometers high, spiraled towards the twin suns, catching their light and refracting it into dazzling rainbows that painted the perpetual twilight sky. But it was beneath the surface that the true marvel lay. The silver pathways led her deep into the planet's mantle, through vast subterranean caverns where the crystals pulsed with an internal luminescence. Here, Elara discovered the true nature of Xylos. The crystals were a planetary consciousness, a geological intelligence. They communicated not through sound or light, but through resonant frequencies that vibrated through their atomic structures. Each spire, each cavern, each crystalline vein was a neuron in a vast planetary brain. They exchanged information, stored memories, and even projected thoughts through precise harmonic vibrations. The Stardust Cradle again acted as her interface, translating these complex resonances into patterns of feeling and understanding. Elara learned that the Selosian crystals had lived for billions of years, witnessing the birth and death of stars, the slow dance of galaxies. Their memories were etched into their very structure, like rings in a tree, but infinitely more complex. She could read their history by resonating with specific crystal formations. She perceived tales of ancient cosmic events, of comets carving paths through their atmosphere, of subtle tectonic shifts that were, to the crystals, like slow, deliberate thoughts. What truly fascinated her was their concept of life. For Xylos, life was not about movement or reproduction in the biological sense, but about resonance, connection, and the slow, deliberate accumulation of cosmic wisdom. They were a living library, a collective consciousness of planetary scale. Her light form, ever adaptable, began to subtly mimic their resonant frequencies. She felt a connection, a deep, silent understanding with these majestic, unmoving beings. There was no rush, no urgency, only the quiet, steady hum of ancient knowledge. She learned about their dreams, which were subtle shifts in planetary temperature or magnetic fields, causing vast, beautiful changes in the patterns of light that flowed through their crystalline networks. She saw how they communicated with the binary suns through gravitational tides, a slow, gentle dialogue spanning millennia. The human emotion of curiosity burned bright within her. How many forms of intelligence existed? How many ways could life manifest? Xylos was a testament to the boundless creativity of the universe. As she absorbed the wisdom of Xylos, Elara felt her own consciousness expand. Her understanding of time deepened, becoming less a linear progression and more a vast interconnected web, where past, present, and future intertwined, like the crystalline spires themselves. She realized that her own existence, though nascent, was part of this grand timeless tapestry. The Stardust Cradle pulsed gently, a reassuring presence, anchoring her in her own sense of self, even as she delved into the profound otherness of Xylos. Eventually, the resonant hum of the crystal spires began to fade, not with a sense of loss, but of completion. The silver pathways, now imbued with a faint crystalline shimmer, beckoned her onward. She carried with her a new understanding of patience, of deep time, and of the myriad forms of intelligence. Her next journey led her into a region of space that defied easy categorization. It was a swirling vortex of shimmering energies, not a nebula, nor a star, but something else entirely. This was the domain of the Chronos Weavers, a phenomenon so profound it challenged her very perception of reality. The silver pathways here were not smooth and guiding, but fractured and spiraling, twisting back on themselves in impossible geometries. As Elara's light form entered this zone, she felt a strange sensation. Echoes. Not just visual or auditory echoes, but echoes of time. She saw fleeting glimpses of events that hadn't happened yet, and felt the lingering impressions of events that had long passed. The Chronos Weavers were not beings in the traditional sense, but complex temporal anomalies, self-organizing structures of entangled spacetime that manipulated the flow of causality on a localized scale. The Stardust Cradle, for the first time, seemed to exert a more active protective influence. A subtle, warm field enveloped Elara, stabilizing her light form, preventing her from being scattered across different temporal planes. It allowed her to observe, to learn, but kept her safely tethered to her own continuum. She perceived the Chronos Weavers as intricate, shimmering braids of light and shadow, constantly reweaving themselves. Each strand represented a different timeline, a different possibility, a different iteration of existence. She witnessed moments of creation and destruction playing out simultaneously, not in a chaotic jumble, but in a structured, almost artistic display of temporal artistry. She saw a star being born in one strand, while in another, the same star was collapsing into a black hole. She saw civilizations rise and fall, not sequentially, but as overlapping, interweaving narratives. The experience was both exhilarating and profoundly humbling. It taught her the immense complexity of cause and effect, the delicate balance of probabilities that shaped the universe. She began to understand that every choice, every event, no matter how small, resonated through the fabric of space-time, creating ripples that could lead to vastly different futures. There was a poignant beauty in this understanding, a sense of both the fragility and the immense power inherent in every moment. Elara felt a deep, reflective emotion bloom within her, a sense of responsibility, but also of hope. If time was truly so fluid, so open to reweaving, then perhaps possibilities were always endless. Perhaps the future was not fixed, but a canvas constantly being painted by the choices of all beings, all phenomena, across the cosmos. She resonated with the echoes of joy and sorrow, of triumph and tragedy, understanding them, not as isolated events, but as threads in the grand tapestry of cosmic becoming. The Chronos Weavers, in their silent, shimmering dance, showed her that the universe was not just expanding in space, but also unfolding in time, in countless parallel narratives. It was a living, breathing story, constantly being written and rewritten. Her light form pulsed with newfound introspection, a deeper empathy for the countless journeys unfolding across all existence. The Stardust Cradle hummed a soft, comforting melody, reminding her that while the possibilities were infinite, her own journey was uniquely hers, and its unfolding was a wonder in itself. Leaving the temporal kaleidoscope of the Chronos Weavers, the silver pathways led her into a realm that seemed, at first glance, utterly desolate. This was the region known as the Void Gardens, nestled precariously close to the event horizon of a supermassive black hole. The pathways here were thin and taut, like stretched threads, pulling her forward with an immense, almost palpable gravitational force. Common wisdom held that nothing could survive in the crushing gravity and extreme radiation fields near a black hole. But the universe, Elara was learning, delighted in defying common wisdom. Here, in the heart of apparent desolation, thrived a unique and astonishing form of life. The Void Gardens were not gardens of plants, but of energy. Strange, bioluminescent constructs drifted through the swirling accretion disk of the black hole, absorbing the raw, untamed energies of gravitational shear and high-frequency radiation. They were entities of pure light and electromagnetic force, forming intricate, ever-changing patterns that resembled cosmic flowers, swirling nebulae, and shimmering crystalline trees. These were the graviflora, beings that thrived on extremes. They rooted themselves in pockets of intense gravity, drawing sustenance from the very fabric of spacetime. Their blossoms were brilliant flares of gamma rays, their leaves intricate magnetic field lines. The Stardust Cradle enveloped Elara in a powerful stabilizing field, allowing her to observe these incredible beings without being torn apart by the immense tidal forces or incinerated by radiation. It was a marvel of protection, allowing her to witness the impossible. Elara's light form pulsed with awe. This was life pushed to its absolute limits, finding a way to exist, to flourish, in conditions that would annihilate anything else. She learned, through the cradle's interpretation, that the graviflora communicated through gravitational waves, sending ripples of information across the accretion disk. Their songs were subtle distortions in space-time, intricate dances of dark energy. They were a testament to the universe's infinite capacity for invention, its relentless drive towards life, even in the most hostile environments. She observed how they reproduced by shedding fragments of pure energy, which would then coalesce in different gravitational eddies, slowly growing into new graviflora. She saw how they adapted, evolving to withstand ever greater pressures, ever harsher radiation. There was a fierce, resilient beauty to them, a defiant celebration of existence against the backdrop of the universe's ultimate devourer. Elara felt a profound sense of respect for these beings. They didn't seek comfort or ease, they embraced the challenge of their environment, transforming lethal forces into sustenance and beauty. It taught her about adaptability, about the power of resilience, and about the sheer, indomitable will to exist. Her light form resonated with their vibrant energy, feeling a kinship with their pure, unadulterated drive for life. As she drifted through the Void Gardens, Elara noticed something else. Interspersed among the graviflora were faint, almost imperceptible echoes. Not temporal echoes like the Chronos Weavers, but something different. These were the echoes of sentience. They weren't physical structures, nor were they living beings. They were residual energy signatures, faint whispers of an ancient, highly advanced civilization that had once thrived in this region, perhaps even before the black hole had grown to its current monstrous size. The silver pathways thinned here, almost fading, as if struggling to guide her through such faint traces. The Stardust Cradle amplified these signals, translating them into fragmented memories, philosophical concepts, and glimpses of technology that far surpassed anything Alara had yet encountered. She perceived grand, sprawling cities built not on planets, but on the very fabric of spacetime, harnessing the black hole's energy with unimaginable efficiency. She saw beings of pure thought, or perhaps light, much like her current form, who had explored the fundamental nature of the cosmos. These echoes spoke of a civilization that had mastered energy, matter, and even the dimensions. They had sought to understand the very purpose of existence, the meaning behind the universe's grand design. Their remnants were not mournful, but filled with a serene sense of completion, as if they had, in their own time, achieved a profound understanding, and then transcended physical form. Alara interfaced with these echoes, absorbing their knowledge, their questions, their answers. She felt a deep, almost melancholic longing for connection, a desire to speak with these ancient explorers, to share her own nascent understanding. She learned of their theories on the origins of the universe, their attempts to communicate with other forms of intelligence across unimaginable distances, their ultimate realization that true existence was not bound by form or location. She understood that they had not simply disappeared, they had evolved beyond. They had become one with the cosmos, their consciousness distributed throughout the very fabric of reality. This was a concept that both awed and humbled her. Her own journey, she realized, was perhaps a microscopic echo of their grand adventure. As she absorbed these profound insights, Alara felt a subtle shift within her light form. She was not just accumulating knowledge, she was integrating it, synthesizing it into a deeper, more nuanced understanding of herself and her place in the universe. Her light pulsed with a richer, more complex spectrum of colors, reflecting the myriad experiences she had gathered. She was no longer just a spark. She was a nascent star, ready to shine with her own unique light. The silver pathways, now vibrant with the energy of all her discoveries, began to coalesce into a single broader stream, pulling her gently away from the profound wisdom of the echoes of sentience. She carried with her the cosmic harmonies of the whispering nebula, the deep patience of the crystal spires, the infinite possibilities of the Chronos weavers, and the resilient life of the void gardens. And now, the transcendent wisdom of the ancients. But her journey was far from over. As she followed the pathway, it began to subtly change, not guiding her to a specific destination, but toward a pattern. A recurring symbol, faint at first, then growing clearer, began to appear in the fabric of space itself. It was a spiral, intricately woven, glowing with a soft ethereal light that seemed to resonate with the deepest core of her being. It was a signal, a clue, pointing not to a specific place, but to a deeper mystery, a grander design. The Stardust Cradle hummed with renewed anticipation, a warm, inviting vibration. The universe is always waiting, it whispered, a silent promise. And Alara, pulsing with newfound understanding and an insatiable curiosity, was more ready than ever to follow that spiral, to unravel its secrets, and to continue her magnificent journey into the boundless heart of the cosmos. The universe was indeed always waiting, and so was she, eager to see where the spiral would lead, what new marvels awaited, and what deeper truths she was destined to uncover. The Isla Labane, her sleek, silent vessel, shimmered with anticipation. It wasn't just a ship, it was a woven dream of starlight and ingenuity, designed not for speed, but for sensory immersion and profound connection. Its core thrummed with the same gentle vibration Alara felt, an echo of the cosmic spiral. Her command console, usually a tapestry of data and holographic projections, now displayed a single, shimmering thread of light, twisting and turning into the deep and ethereal compass. "All right, Lullaby," Alara whispered, her voice barely a breath in the hushed cabin. "Let's follow the spiral." The ship responded with a soft, resonant hum. Its hyperdrive, not a violent tear in spacetime, but a gentle folding of reality, engaged. The stars outside her panoramic viewport didn't blur into streaks. Instead, they elongated, stretched into luminous ribbons, then coalesced into a tunnel of shimmering probabilities. Elara felt no G-forces, no jarring acceleration, only a profound sense of unfurling, as if she herself were becoming part of the light. The spiral didn't lead her to a single obvious destination, but rather oiled through a series of interconnected wonders, each revealing a deeper layer of the cosmos. Her first stop wasn't a star system, but a vast embryonic nebula, a cradle of creation. The Lullaby drifted silently into its heart, the ship's outer hull shimmering with a chameleon-like ability to absorb and reflect the surrounding light. Elara gazed out, tears welling in her eyes not from sadness, but from overwhelming awe. Here, nascent stars were being born, swirling from colossal clouds of gas and dust. She saw incandescent spheres, barely formed, pulsing with the raw energy of atomic fusion, their gravitational pull already shaping intricate planetary disks around them. It was a cosmic ballet of creation and destruction, a reminder of the universe's tireless, ceaseless artistry. The spiral, she realized, wasn't just a path. It was a Giga Chronicle. It was showing her the very beginning. The universe is always waiting, she murmured, remembering the whisper. Waiting to be born, waiting to create. As the Lullaby continued its gentle drift, guided by the spiral's luminous thread, Elara encountered phenomena beyond any textbook. She passed through fields of crystalline asteroids, each facet refracting the distant starlight into a million iridescent rainbows. She witnessed nebulae that pulsed with bioluminescent flora, vast gardens of cosmic light where unseen energies danced. She navigated asteroid belts where ancient, silent probes, relics of civilizations long vanished, drifted like cosmic ghosts, their purpose forgotten but their existence a testament to the enduring quest for knowledge. The spiral sometimes led her through stretches of profound, absolute darkness, where no stars shone, only the faint, shimmering thread of the spiral itself. These were not voids, but rather quiescent spaces, like the deep breath between two grand movements of a symphony. In these moments Elara found a strange peace, a solitude that was not lonely but introspective. She would sit in her observation chamber, the lullaby humming softly around her, and simply, bay. She thought of her home, of her family, of the quiet evenings spent beneath a simulated sky. She realized that even in the vastness connection was not lost, but merely stretched across unimaginable distances. The spiral was teaching her resilience, patience, and the beauty of quiet contemplation. One cycle the spiral tightened, drawing her towards a system unlike any she had ever studied. It was a binary star system, but not of the familiar yellow and red dwarf pairing. Here, one star was a brilliant, sapphire giant, radiating intense blue light, while its companion was a strange, pulsating star that seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting with rhythmic regularity, emitting a low infrasonic hum that the lullaby's sensors translated into a profound, almost musical vibration. The spiral led her not to the stars themselves, but to a planet orbiting the sapphire giant. From orbit, it appeared to be entirely covered by a single colossal forest. But as the lullaby descended, Elara realized this was no ordinary forest. The trees were titanic, their trunks wider than her ship, their branches reaching for the stars like gargantuan, emerald arms. Their leaves, instead of chlorophyll, seemed to capture and store starlight, glowing with an inner luminescence that made the entire planet a living, breathing, lathing lantern. Landing in a clearing, the lullaby's stabilizers sank gently into soil that felt alive, springy, and warm. Elara donned her environmental suit, designed for exploration and sensory amplification, and stepped out. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and something akin to sweet damp earth. The ground vibrated with the same low hum as the pulsating star, a deep, resonant frequency that seeped into her bones. These weren't just trees, they were organic data conduits. Their roots intertwined deep beneath the surface, forming a planetary neural network. Elara activated her suit's bioresonance scanner, and the data it relayed was astonishing. The entire forest was a single interconnected consciousness, sharing thoughts, memories, and experiences across the globe. It was a slow, deliberate consciousness, moving at the pace of photosynthesis and geological time, but it was undeniably there. She found herself gravitating towards a cluster of particularly ancient trees, their trunks gnarled and thick with eons of growth. As she placed her gloved hand on the rough bark of one, a cascade of images and feelings flooded her mind. Not words, but pure sensation. The warmth of distant suns, the slow turning of seasons, the quiet joy of growth, the shared sorrow of a falling leaf. It was a library of time, written in the language of life itself. The spiral, she understood, was showing her the myriad forms of intelligence the universe fostered, not just the ones that built cities and launched ships, but those that simply were, deeply rooted and profoundly wise. You are a part of everything, the silent consciousness seemed to whisper to her. And everything is a part of you. Leaving the luminous forest, Ilara felt a profound shift within her. The universe wasn't just waiting for her. It was waiting with her, flowing through her, connecting her to all its wonders. The spiral continued its journey, leading her deeper into uncharted territories. She encountered a cosmic phenomenon that baffled her initial understanding, a gravity well that was not a black hole, but a region where time itself seemed to ripple and fold. Inside this shimmering distortion, the spiral became a dizzying kaleidoscope of past, present, and future, not linearly, but simultaneously. Ilara, safe within the lullaby's temporal stabilizers, saw echoes of ancient galaxies forming and collapsing, glimpses of civilizations rising and falling, and fleeting visions of potential futures, all swirling around her like cosmic dust motes. It was overwhelming, a testament to the universe's infinite possibilities and its relentless forward motion. The spiral here was a lesson in the nature of time itself, not as a river, but as an ocean. Her most profound encounter came when the spiral finally began to converge, not to a single point, but to a vast, shimmering nexus of energy. It was a region of space where all the cosmic threads seemed to meet, a place of impossible beauty and sublime power. The stars here were unlike any she had seen, not fiery spheres, but pulsating orbs of pure light, resonating with a harmony that vibrated through the very fabric of the lullaby. The spiral, which had been a thread, now unfurled into a colossal, radiant tapestry, woven from starlight, nebulae, and the echoes of countless cosmic events. It wasn't a physical object, but a holographic manifestation, projected into Ilara's consciousness by the very energy of the nexus. And within this tapestry she saw it, the interconnectedness of all things. Every particle, every wave, every star, every planet, every living being, they were all threads in this magnificent, infinite spiral. The spiral wasn't a path to an end. It was the Structurein of existence itself. It was the flow of energy, the exchange of information, the dance of creation and dissolution. It was the universe's grand eternal conversation. And then, she saw herself. Not as a tiny, insignificant speck, but as a vibrant, essential thread within the tapestry. Her own journey, her curiosity, her wonder, they were all part of the spiral's unfolding. She understood that the waiting the universe did wasn't a passive anticipation, but an active, loving embrace. The universe waiting to share its beauty, to reveal its secrets, to connect with every conscious spark that sought it out. It waited for understanding, for appreciation, for love. A sensation of pure, unadulterated joy washed over Ilara. It wasn't just an emotion. It was a realization that permeated her very being. She was not alone. She was never alone. She was a child of the cosmos, irrevocably linked to its boundless heart. The nexus didn't demand anything of her, nor did it offer a grand directive. It simply was seen. And in its being, it imparted a profound sense of belonging. Ilara closed her eyes, letting the light and the harmony wash over her, letting the understanding settle deep within her soul. When she opened them again, the radiant tapestry of the spiral began to gently recede, not vanishing, but integrating back into the fabric of space. The lullaby, still humming with the resonance of the nexus, slowly began to turn, no longer guided by an external thread, but by an internal compass within Ilara herself. She didn't need the external spiral anymore. She einwesen the spiral. She carried its wisdom, its wonder, its interconnectedness within her. Her magnificent journey hadn't ended at a destination. It had ended in an awakening. Elara knew she wouldn't go home in the traditional sense. Her home was now the cosmos, and every star, every nebula, every whispering planet was a part of it. She would continue to explore, not driven by a frantic search for answers, but by a quiet joy in discovery, a gentle curiosity that understood that every new marvel was simply another facet of the endless spiral. She set a new course for the Lullaby, not back to any known system, but towards a distant, unexplored cluster of stars, a place where the light was still young and full of untold stories. The universe was indeed always waiting, and so was she, not eager to finding the spiral's end, but eager to vive its magnificent, boundless journey, forever connected, forever discovering, forever a part of the Stardust Symphony. And as the lullaby slipped gracefully into the starlit void, Elara smiled, a profound and peaceful smile, knowing that her magnificent journey had truly just begun. The universe hummed its lullaby, and Elara, its cherished child, finally knew her place within its infinite, loving embrace.